All right, let's talk about how to keep your acrylic aquariums as scratch-free as possible. Here we go.
When I first bought my 2 acrylic aquariums, I did a lot of research to find out if I wanted glass or acrylic. I went with acrylic knowing that they scratch very easily, but I did research to find out on how to keep them scratch-free. I reached out to people on Facebook to find out if they had problems with their acrylic aquariums. The answer was usually no.
Get the liar!
And then I found out that these magic erasers are great for cleaning the inside of the acrylic, and actually the outside too. But when I did the research, I didn't find out that these will actually scratch your acrylic if you're not careful. So I learned the hard way on this acrylic aquarium that has a lot of little micro scratches, but this one over here, since I've done my learning experience, doesn't have a lot of scratches on it. I'm gonna show you how to use one of these appropriately on your acrylic aquarium without getting a lot of scratches, and then how to test out whether or not whatever you're using is going to scratch your tanks up. So stick around, let's get into it.
These are the generic magic erasers I use. As long as they're the original kind and not scented or anything, then they're aquarium safe. You don't want your fish eating them though, so once they start to show wear, I throw them away. Usually about 2 uses on my big tank and then I trash it. I always rinse off anything that goes in my tank, and I want these wet for my experiment anyway. But before I get to that demonstration, let me show you the difference between my 2 acrylic tanks. This is my 240-gallon African cichlid tank, and you can see the small scratches generously located throughout the panel. I mean, you don't have to look too hard here. It looks horrible from this angle.
Ugh, gag onto me with a spoon.
This was my first acrylic, so it was also my learning experience, unfortunately. Let me be clear though, even though this has obvious scratches all over it, no one but me notices them at all, and once it's full of water, I don't even notice them unless I look for them. Even so, I know they're there, and it drives me insane. Here's the other tank, just a few months newer than the other one. It's my 180-gallon angelfish geophagus tank. I now clean both tanks the same way, and this one has no scratches that I can see on the inside at all. Like I said, there are a few small ones on the outside now, but I have grandkids who may have played a part in that. Alright, on to the test. This is just a small piece of scrap acrylic. You can usually get them free from your local glass shop. That's what I usually do. Anything I use on my tank gets a test run on one of these first, and I recommend you do the same. Now I'm going to show you why the magic eraser is great for acrylic tanks and also terrible for them. Here's how I wipe the biofilm and algae off my panels now. I'm just using enough pressure to hold the pad in place on the acrylic, no more than that. If I need to go over a tough spot in my aquarium, I just make multiple passes using the same pressure until it's clean.
I'm wiping off the excess water with a lint-free microfiber cloth. Again, just very gently pressing it to the acrylic. It's really difficult to catch scratches with the camera, but this looks great. If I get the light just right after looking for a while, I can sometimes see very minute scratches in it, but those may have been there before and I just didn't see them. I've cleaned my 180 gallons several times this way, and I can tell you that there are no visible scratches at all on the panels. Now I'm taking it to the extreme, and I'm going to rub this acrylic hard with the pad. I'm placing some serious pressure on it to show what it looks like if you try to vigorously remove something from one of your panels, like I've done. And here it is. Oh my, this looks like I've ice skated all over it. It's almost like one solid scratch. My 240 looks bad, but I'm lucky it doesn't look this bad. So anything in between how I first showed you how to clean acrylic and what I just did will result in some smaller scratches to a lot of scratches based on how hard you press. I can tell you that I'm not going to press too hard to get you to like and subscribe if you've made it this far into the video, but I think you'll do the right thing if you're a good person, that is. No pressure. Alright, this is a shot of me actually cleaning the front panel of my African cichlid tank. Just barely pressing the magic eraser up against the panel. While this one's scratched all to hell and back, I don't want it to get any worse than it already is. And here's another tip for you to keep the sand line at the bottom of your tank as scratch-free as you can. If I have some algae down where the sand is, I will very gently, without pressing any sand against the panels, move the sand away from where I need to clean. Then I'll either take the pad and gently scrub, or I'll use my fingers by themselves to do it. The last thing you want is a tiny piece of sand getting stuck between the pad and the panel. Each swipe is going to cause a scratch that will accompany you deep into your worst nightmares. I feel better about using my finger because I can actually feel if a pebble is about to wreak havoc in my tank. You can't feel that if you're using a pad. Have any horror stories about scratching up your glass or acrylic tanks? Let me know in the comments and we can commiserate.
Now anything you touch your acrylic aquariums with can scratch it, so you gotta be careful. Even this fish net that I use to catch my fish with is a problem. If I use it and I trap the fish along the acrylic, If it touches it and I move it, there's a scratch there. So I learned that the hard way. One of the things I did to mitigate things that are going to cause scratches on a daily basis is I put these aquariums on 45-inch high stands to keep them higher so that grandkids and kids won't end up scratching it. At least they're not as likely to.
Now, if you want your acrylic tank to look beautiful, then you're going to have to risk cleaning the outside as well as the inside without scratching it. When you're cleaning the outside of your acrylic, don't use anything with alcohol in it, including regular glass cleaner. They can irreversibly damage your acrylic. Only use cleaners made specifically for acrylic. I use Brillianize, which makes the panels crystal clear. The link is in the video description, but let me know if you have a product that you can swear by. Always use a clean, lint-free microfiber cloth. If the cloth touches the ground, don't use it until you've cleaned it again. Just toss it away. Any specks of dirt that find their way onto the cloth can wreck your day.
This sucks.
Spray some cleaner onto the rag a safe distance from the tank so none accidentally makes it into the tank.
I've been poisoned.
Once you've done that, go over it again very carefully with the dry side of the cloth to polish it. After you're done, those panels will look amazing. Oh, and be careful about what you put in your tanks and where you put it. If it falls against the acrylic, guess what you're gonna have? A new nightmare. I love the way these standing logs look from Aqua Decor. Oh, and check out the unboxing video, by the way. Link's in the upper right corner. But I'd be lying if I said the thought of them toppling over against the panels doesn't raise my blood pressure just a little bit. You can buff out most scratches you might get on acrylic. I haven't had to do this yet, but there are some videos out there that show you how to do this. I can tell you that it's much easier to buff scratches on the outside than the inside, because you have to completely empty the tank to take care of the inside. That sounds like a bad day when you have a 240-gallon tank.
If you have acrylic aquariums or you're thinking of getting them, just keep in mind that they will never be 100% scratch-free, but you can do things to help keep those scratches to a minimum. What I've said hopefully will help you do that. If you have any tips on how to keep your glass aquarium scratch-free or also your acrylic aquarium scratch-free, please let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching.